Warning: the following video contains explicit language, which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Are you ready? Hey everybody, it's Jeff. Well, I hope everybody had a good Halloween. It sort of dulls a little here again because, like I said, I think in the previous Halloween video, that people don't trick or treat anymore like they used to. In fact, they don't at all here. And the sad thing of it is that, you know, an era sort of came to an end, you know, quietly. And I don't know if people even realize just what it is that caused it, because I think that I do. I think I understand pretty well what caused it, and it's the fact that it's so violent in our country today. Guns are everywhere. People are getting shot everywhere, okay? What reason do people have to take their kids out and go trick-or-treating when there's a possibility that the door they knock on might be greeted with a gun? Or, hey, get down from there. Or that, you know, somehow, while they're out on the street, somebody will do a drive-by. So on top of parents keeping their kids home from school and homeschooling them, they're also keeping them from enjoying some of the things that I grew up with that were very fun to do and involved, you know, the neighborhood putting on a show. For Thanksgiving, and I mean for Halloween rather. Thanksgiving's coming up, but for Halloween, which used to be a community event that brought communities together, you know, to do things, which was a fun thing to see what neighbors would do for Halloween in their yards and stuff like that. But all good things must come to an end, right? And they come to an end in this situation because we don't fight hard enough to do the right thing, okay? And we all know what the right thing is. I don't have to lay it out for you. I've been saying it on here many times already. And as we sit here and ignore the solution to the problem, we keep sacrificing more of what it means to be an American. Now, one side doesn't really seem to give a shit, okay? Those that are NRA advocates and on the right wing and stuff, they don't seem to care that, you know, hey, our kids are less active and less community oriented now because they're scared that somebody's going to shoot them. How do they explain to their kid, oh, they're not going to shoot you? Really? There's evidence to the contrary and gravestones all over the country. You know, how the hell can you explain to your kid that they're safe with an armed America when they go to school and they're taught how to drill in case of a shooting situation in their school? Okay, hello. You know, if it's gotten to the point where the kids have to be educated on how to protect themselves in their classrooms, okay, then we've got a situation that's out of control, right? If our first line of defense is the classroom, the door in the classroom, that's the first line of defense, right? It's not that, you know, we don't know how to eliminate that ridiculous situation. Like I said, we already know how to stop that, and we don't need to hire, you know, extra people and stuff like that, which towns do not want to do. I mean, towns are always chipping away at school budgets. If you start telling them we got to add, you know, X amount of dollars to the budget to hire guards and shit, they're going to say, ugh. They don't want to do it, okay? Talk to any teacher, okay? I got a teacher in my family, they'll tell you the same damn thing. Okay, when it comes to school budgets, the towns their buttholes are like tighter than a snare drum. And the thing is that they just don't want to give. But yet they want the schools to figure these solutions out on their own, okay, with what they have for a budget. So that means something has to get cut. All right? And it's usually teachers' paychecks, right? So, like I said, when you do stuff like this, the result doesn't just stop there, okay? It also affects the way people view their neighborhood. It also affects the way parents view the safety of their children. Okay, even Republicans now, even the Republican parents and stuff, same fucking worry. Okay, even though their position is what's creating the problem, they're still scared. All right, so Republicans, they won't bitch that the problem, the answer to the problem is to remove the guns, but no, they're going to continue to bitch, that the problem exists, but they're just simply going to turn the other cheek, and forget about what the answer is. Okay, they're just going to say we need more people armed. We need to arm the teachers. We got to have armed guards in the fucking schools. Got to pass out guns to the kids when they go into class. I mean, what the hell? I mean, there was a time when talking like that was, you're a fucking nut. People would have laughed their ass off at you for even thinking such a thing. But now, the nuts are in control of the nut house. Okay? You see how reality changes from what was not accepted before to being accepted now? How that changes by the way we vote? Okay? We allowed the wackadoodles to control the fucking government. Okay? And when we gave them a little bit of time, they did a lot of damage in our country. That's why I say you can't allow these people inside government if they don't have any experience governing and they don't have the intelligence to. These people are dangerous. Okay? You can't allow this. You can't allow this. And so the end result, like I said, is that because people are scared shitless, especially here right now in Maine because of what happened just last week. Okay? Halloween was Dullsville, okay? Nobody really did anything. They had 2 days before Halloween, they had a sort of a Halloween thing at a school that's right here in VZ where the kids showed up there and they had their costumes on and stuff like that in an environment they thought was safe. You know what was also out there at that school? Police cars. There was 3 police cars, 2 from Bangor and the one here in VZ, parked out in the front. Now, they weren't there because they were wanting to see the kids in their costumes. No, they were asked to be there because they were to protect the school in case of a shooter. Okay, you see what I'm saying about how our society has become? We're going to live in a police state by default because of our own arrogance about the ownership of guns. The rest of the world sees what we're doing and they're saying, you guys are so fucking stupid. Your answer is simple. Look how we are handling that stuff. We have hardly any gun shootings at all. And that's because people have a hell of a time to get their hands on these fucking things. Okay? You want to stop the shootings, then, stop supporting the NRA. Stop allowing the gun lobby to control everything. To stop buying off our politicians. When you do that, things will change. Until then, it won't. It just gets worse. And how bad do you want it to get before you're really tired of it all? How many Republicans are going to have to lose their kids in a school shooting because, hey, they put the Republican kids, with the Democrats are all in the same building, right? The shooters don't discriminate. The bullets fly everywhere. All right? And the fact that, some Republicans are putting their kids in private schools ought to tell you that they don't even think it's safe, okay? So they know the problem. They just don't want to hear the solution. So anyway, there's an article here that come out. This isn't about guns or anything like that. This is about Mike Johnson here, now that he's the speaker. And this is from The Status Quo, written by Jay Kuo. And it's entitled, Speaker Mike Johnson's Past Holds Many Unanswered Questions. It's funny how now all of a sudden we're so interested in who this guy is after he gets what he wants, right? But here, this is the way it goes in this country. Okay, when the Republican conference in the House went to their fifth in line, Representative Mike Johnson and decided in collective utter exhaustion that they would unanimously back him for Speaker, my first reaction was, who? And this is from someone who follows politics quite closely. After hearing that he was a Christo-nationalist extremist whose wife, as he claimed, had been on her knees in prayer for the last 2 weeks, hoo boy, my second reaction was, quote, I'll be there, I'll bet there are tons of skeletons in that one's closet, unquote. After all, it has been my experience that the most devoutly Christian, virulently homophobic, and sexually repressed people often have something pretty deep they desperately want to cover for. When I next heard that Speaker Johnson has a black son he had taken in at age 14, whose name he has trotted out when convenient, but who was nowhere in recent family photos or even in Johnson's official bio, I thought, quote, well, this gives a new twist on The Blind Side, unquote. Then I learned that Johnson's wife runs a Christian, quote-unquote, counseling service that equates homosexuality with bestiality and pedophilia, and that she has been busy scrubbing traces of this and of her podcast with her husband from the internet. And I thought, quote, good luck with that, unquote. Oh, wow, then there's the fact that Johnson was named dean of a law school that never opened, whose namesake, Judge Paul Pressler, was, surprise, surprise, sued over sexual abuse by multiple men, and whose president was credibly accused of misappropriating funds. The icing on this Christ cake came from a scoop on Wednesday from Roger Sollenberger of the Daily Beast, who helped pave the George Santos financial trail, leading ultimately to federal charges against Santos. Sollenberger's dogged sleuthing revealed that the Johnsons appear not to own a bank account or any other valuable asset, or at least not one they thought they should have to disclose by law. I thought, quote, well, that's shady, unquote. It's only been just over a week, and there are already lots of questions and myriad leads for reporters to start tracking down. I should caution that there may be perfectly good explanations for all of this, but given how questions are multiplying, we shouldn't take the Johnsons' word on any of it, and they are being so very cagey. We need the truth. Let's look at each of these stories a bit more carefully. Concerning the black son, in 97, or perhaps in 99, a 25 or 27-year-old Mike Johnson took custody of a 14-year-old teenager named Michael. There isn't a clear record of, at least not yet, of whether this was an adoption or a fostering arrangement, although the latter seems more likely. Johnson claims that his wife Kelly and he took in Michael as newlyweds, but again, the timeline isn't clear. As Josh Marshall of Talking Points Memo noted in 2019 during a hearing covered by The Advocate, Johnson said he and his wife took custody of Michael 22 years ago when they were just newlyweds, which would have been 97. But that doesn't quite add up because the Johnsons were married in 99, according to People magazine. If this seems like a quibble, it still raises a real question. What agency would give a single 25-year-old man custody of a 14-year-old teenager? Marshall's piece ends with a curious stonewalling by Johnson on the question. When The Advocate asks Johnson's spokeswoman Ainsley Hollyfield to elaborate on the relationship between Michael and Johnson's family back in 2019, she told the paper, quote, the congressman will not be commenting further than what was said today in committee out of respect for Michael, his privacy, and their relationship, unquote. Although Johnson has mentioned his black son, Michael, when he wants to make a point about race, for example, he stated in that same hearing in 2019 that Michael was opposed to reparations. Michael does not appear in any recent family photos, nor in Johnson's official biography. Johnson explains the absence by citing Michael's desire for privacy. Johnson has also been attacked by the right for speaking up about the racial inequality he has witnessed in Michael's life compared to his natural-born son, which could also explain why Johnson would rather not put a target on his family right now. In a statement to Newsweek, which inquired about his son's absence from the website and from his biography, Johnson's communications director said, quote, "When Speaker Johnson first ran for Congress in 2016, he and his wife Kelly spoke to their son Michael, who they took in as newlyweds when Michael was 14 years old." She continued, quote, "At the time of the Speaker's election to Congress, Michael was an adult with a family of his own. He asked not to be involved in their new public life. The Speaker has respected that sentiment throughout his career and maintains a close relationship with Michael to this day," unquote. Family photos and official biographies aren't the only things that the Johnsons are busy scrubbing. Kelly Johnson runs a Christian counseling service and a website called Onward Christian Counseling Services, one that she recently took down as soon as inquiries began. The Huffington Post drew attention to an operating agreement from 2017, which was posted on the site, which enumerated biblical principles over sexual morality, the document stated. "We believe, and the Bible teaches, that any form of sexual immorality, such as adultery, fornication, homosexuality, bisexual conduct, bestiality, incest, pornography, or any attempts to change one's sex or disagreement with one's biological sex, is sinful and offensive to God." Well, they believe the Bible says that. I never saw that. While Kelly Johnson had hoped taking the site down would turn down the heat, the act itself has prompted further inquiry, and the site remains viewable in the archives on Wayback Machine. Kelly and Mike Johnson also co-hosted a podcast recently called Truth Be Told, which someone also has been trying to take down off of the MikeandKellyJohnson.com site so that the episodes are not readily accessible, but Capitol hunters noticed the removal and quickly downloaded the episodes to make them available to reporters. It further noted that the episodes are still up on Apple Podcasts, apparently because whoever is attempting to scrub the content doesn't get how all this works. Again, there may be valid reasons why the Johnsons don't want their past statements on their podcasts readily available to reporters. I just can't think of any off the top of my head other than that they contain extremist rhetoric that would look quite bad if widely known and circulated. The Associated Press did a little digging and found another Mike Johnson rabbit hole that might need some excavating. I should start by saying there's no accusation here that Johnson did anything improper or illegal, but the folks around him sure seem to have, and that says a lot about the company he is keeping. In 2010, Johnson was named dean of a small Baptist law school that never opened its doors to students. The Judge Paul Pressler School of Law was imagined as a new era for Louisiana College, now Louisiana Christian University. It was going to embrace a quote-unquote biblical worldview of the law, whatever that scary-sounding thing is, but after 10 years of failed fundraising, infighting, and multiple allegations of sexual abuse against its namesake, the law school never opened. The college's board of trustees who brought Johnson in as the new law school dean included his longtime mentor Tony Perkins of the Family Research Council, a violently anti-gay hate group. Johnson set out to fundraise for the new school and met with GOP powerhouses like Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee, Louisiana Governor Bobby Jindal, and Judge Pressler, who had been a major figure in the Southern Baptist Convention and helped turn the church to the far right in the 1980s. The college's president, Joe Aguillard, came under scrutiny for financial malfeasance, including a whistleblower complaint from a vice president and, according to an independent investigation, diverting funds for his own personal expenses. 2 years later, after the school failed to gain accreditation to issue JD degrees, Johnson resigned. The scandal over Pressler erupted 5 years after that, with a civil case against him that now includes multiple allegations by men of sexual assault, including while they were children. That case is now part of a much larger reckoning by the Church of serious sexual abuse, which leadership covered up for decades. It's entirely possible that Johnson had never heard any claims or even rumors of Pressler's abuse during the 2 years he was dean of the school. It's also possible that he knew nothing about Aguillard's financial misdeeds, but as someone who was now second in line to the presidency and who was selected over another extremist, Representative Jim Jordan, who was credibly accused of looking the other way in the face of abuses and scandal, the public has the right to know what, if anything, Johnson knew while he was dean. As the leader of a new institution wrought by allegations and investigations, it would be negligent at best for Johnson not to have at least made inquiries given the stakes to the institution, to donors, and to the victims. A disappearing black son, scrubbed website and podcast, and scandal-plagued school aside, this last story really has my head cocked. The public is learning a lot about financial disclosures and what they do and do not require after multiple stories emerged about Justice Clarence Thomas's extravagant donor gifts. Congress members also have to make financial disclosures, and Roger Sullenberger of the Daily Beast wisely knew that we should start there with Johnson. What we found was very off, like way off. As Sullenberger noted, over the course of 7 years, Johnson has never reported a checking or savings account in his name, nor in the name of his wife or any of his children, disclosures show. In fact, he doesn't appear to have any money stashed in any investments, with his latest filing covering 2022 showing no assets whatsoever. Now, before we get over our skis, it's possible that the account limit requirements for reporting were never met by either Johnson or his wife, and that's why nothing appears on the disclosures. Those reporting requirements state that reporting is required if any account holds at least $1,000, and the combined value of all accounts, including family members, is greater than $5,000. Are we to believe that the Johnsons have no asset accounts worth at least $1,000 and that the rest doesn't add up to $5,000? Johnson worked for years as senior counsel to the Alliance Defending Freedom, a far-right advocacy group responsible for killing Roe v. Wade. That group is flush with money. And according to Sullenberger, Johnson's income puts him at the top 12% of earners. He made over $200,000 last year, yet he has zero assets that qualify. He has a mortgage, a home equity line of credit, and a personal loan. If he's in financial trouble and he actually has $0 to his name, the public has the right to know this as well. It could affect his behavior and decisions, after all. What may be going on here is an utter failure to disclose assets. That alone is a serious matter, especially for someone who was just elected speaker. Did he hide his assets on purpose, or just not take his disclosures seriously? Neither would be a satisfactory answer, of course. Once again, there is opacity when there should be transparency. Will the Johnsons go back and scrub their financial disclosures? Are they doing fine, or are they near bankruptcy, living paycheck to paycheck? What ties do they have to others, including multiple religious nonprofits from which Johnson draws income? We don't know, because he revealed nothing about his assets. One thing is pretty certain. The more the press digs, the more curious things they find about quote-unquote MAGA Mike Johnson. We already know that things with him are not as they appear, and that the past is not something the Johnsons want us to know about. The thing is, the more they try to hide things, the more suspicious things seem. As they keep scrubbing, reporters will keep digging. So, like I said, they wait till after he's put in this position as speaker to come out and tell people, look at all the question marks we found here. This guy's past, okay? And even though it's become a topic of discussion with the press, it doesn't really surprise me, that they found something odd about him, which could mean, there's smoke, a lot of smoke, and if there's got to be fire somewhere, right? So that doesn't surprise me. A Republican politician, Jesus. Scandal obviously has to be part of the game with them, okay? They're all dirty in some fucking way. And why these people think that they can run with a dirty history and expect that nobody's going to find it in this day and age, in our technological day and age? Come on. It's easy as shit. Look, they're trying to erase stuff on the internet the old-fashioned way, and they're not realizing that everything is backed up. Okay? And you can find all this stuff. If you dig deep enough into the archives of things, you can find all this stuff. That's why people keep telling you, don't put anything out there that you don't want people to see or people to read, because it stays there forever, okay? Until the internet is destroyed by some global war or something, it's going to be there. Okay? It doesn't disappear. When you delete something, it simply goes into another memory bank where it sits there in little bits and pieces somewhere. You know what I'm saying? It's just there's nothing is actually shredded, or nothing physical is ever shredded or anything like that when it comes to information. It stays in the in the system. Okay, that's why when people tell you when you delete files on your computer, your home computer, it simply goes into a friggin' area on your hard drive that just it collects all the bits and pieces of data that you deleted. It's still there, and a good person who knows computers can get all that stuff back out of the recycling bin to be able to read and see what was there. Okay, doesn't matter. So nothing's really deleted. A computer cannot delete things with an eraser or something like that. It doesn't do that. Okay, if it could, it would ruin everything on your computer, because only a magnetic field could erase data on a hard drive. Okay, and anything as strong as that would simply ruin your computer every time you try to delete something. All right, so enough about that. But like I said, the fact that this guy now the press is digging into his past and stuff like that and finding things, no brainer, right? They should have done this way before. Okay, about this guy. Clearly, they got something to hide. All right, whether it's a big thing or a small thing, I don't know. But it is kind of weird that they, nothing shows up with assets, and the kind of money he's making. And he's associated with big money, okay, and he's got nothing. I mean, come on, where's he hiding his assets? Okay, let's go to a commercial break.
This is me.
This is me.
This is me!
This is me.
I'm Alex Curtis. I'm a lobsterman in Maine, and this is me.
I'm Ruth McLaughlin, and this is me.
I'm Eric Hopkins. I'm an artist, and this is me.
This is me.
Me.
This is me.
This is me.
This is me.
At the end of the journey, the main thing is you. Original.
Today, an indictment was unsealed.
It's here. Now that's what I call conspiracy. Volume 3. 78 of the hottest indictment charges from your favorite superstar president. And still technically not a criminal. Like conspiracy to violate civil rights. Conspiracy to obstruct an official proceeding. Obstruction of an official proceeding. And conspiracy to defraud the U.S. government.
We're gonna walk down to the Capitol.
Collaborations with hot new artists like Co-Conspirator 1.
Let's have trial by combat.
And we'll throw in his bonus lyrics booklet just released. Now, Volume 3 has the best of today's court docket topping hits and all the charges from the classified documents case, including obstructing justice, making false statements, and of course, retaining classified information.
Isn't it amazing? I have a big pile of papers, except it is like highly confidential secret. This is secret information. These are the papers.
Yeah.
See, as president, I could have beat less of that. No, I can't, but this is
Now
classified.
we have a problem.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah. It's so cool.
Dozens of incriminating and for some insane reason recorded tracks, such as 34 felony counts of falsifying business records and a hush money scheme.
When it comes time for the financing, which will be, listen, what financing? You won't have to pay yourself. No, I got, no.
Order now and get all these hits. Or order in a few weeks and we can squeeze in a couple more from an upcoming indictment in Georgia.
I just want to find 11,780 votes.
Now that's what I call conspiracy. Volume 3. What's that? Volume 4? What? Oh, Volume 4. Guys, how many of these are there? Why don't I just record all the numbers, because this keeps happening. Save us some time.
Too much of the bottom part there, but without too many curse words here, sir. What are your thoughts?
I don't have friends. I don't have family.
He's honest. He cares about kids. He cares about guns. He cares about our country.
Trump is mean.
Right now, my rights are being denied by the FBI.
I'm a proud Polish person.
He tells the truth, never lies.
I'm old. You can see I'm old. I'm older.
We need to get down on our hands and knees and pray for this man to get into office.
Trump has a big mouth. We all have big mouths. Right, people? Trump! Trump! Trump!
His Christian values that he stands for.
We love Trump! We love Trump! We love Trump!
But definitely not woke, definitely not anything about any of that type of mentality.
Evil's taken over. Good needs to overcome the evil, and Donald Trump is going to do it.
King Jesus first and then King Trump.
And China. Put an end to it.
It's my birthday weekend.
The left and the rhinos, the globalists.
They kill them all. Kill them all.
Some people have a deep, abiding respect for the natural beauty that was once this country. And some people don't. People start pollution. People can stop it. Write for Pollution Booklet, Box 1771, Radio City Station, New York.
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it. It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
Okay, everybody, welcome back. Okay, so today, issue was brought up about helping out Israel, okay? And the House GOP had a proposal that's really sparked some debate here. In this article here that I got from Mother Jones, kind of lays it out here. It's written by Julianne Machine, entitled "The House GOP's Proposal Israel Aid by Defunding the IRS." House Republicans are proposing funding $14 billion in aid to Israel by cutting additional money for divisions of the IRS tasked with making sure wealthy people and tax cheats pay their fair share, according to a new bill filed on Monday. The proposal, which would allocate money for weapons and, quote, military education and training, unquote, for Israel, among other things, seeks to undo the funding to the IRS that came from last year's Inflation Reduction Act. That law allocated $80 billion to the agency over the next 10 years. $20 billion of that was later cut in a deal to raise the debt ceiling. The GOP legislation calls for further cuts to the IRS, specifically the division tasked with enforcement and conducting investigations into financial crimes. The bill would also eliminate a task force intended to design a free, direct e-file tax return system that would wind up competing with TurboTax, a change that the company and politicians, particularly Republicans, have fought. Advocates have said such a system could have could save taxpayers billions of dollars and millions of hours of prep time per year. The GOP's latest bill matches $14 billion Biden's funding request for Israel in number, but not in its proposed approach. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said that the helping, quote, the wealthy and big corporations cheat on their taxes, unquote, to fund aid to Israel's war effort is, quote, the definition of backwards, unquote. The proposed $14 billion in aid to Israel is already roughly 4 times what the U.S. normally provides per year. And while Biden's proposal sought to bundle aid to Israel with aid to Ukraine, as my colleague Noah Lannard pointed out, neither his nor the GOP proposal specifically earmarks any aid to deal with the humanitarian crisis unfolding in Gaza, where more than 8,500 people have been killed by Israeli airstrikes since October the 7th, according to Gaza health authorities. Biden's proposal instead asks for about $9 billion for humanitarian aid for Israel, Palestine, and Ukraine collectively. The thought of, as my colleague David Korn put it in Mother Jones's internal Slack channel, quote, letting billionaires cheat to pay for bombs to drop on civilians, unquote, is jarring, particularly given the more than 3,500 children that Gaza health authorities say have been killed by the Israeli airstrikes. Heartbreaking photos and videos have shown kids covered in blood and dust and collapsing while coping with living through the trauma of war and losing loved ones. Defunding the IRS, though, has been a priority for House Republicans for decades, as my colleague Michael Mechanic has reported. Past removals of funding have led to less audits of the super wealthy. The latest bill bears several similarities to the Family and Small Business Taxpayer Protection Act, which House Republicans passed earlier this year in a bid to rescind 90% of the proposed funding to the IRS via the Inflation Reduction Act. That bill has yet to come up for a vote in the Senate. The GOP funding bill is unlikely to pass muster with Senate Democrats, who have called for bundling aid to Israel and Ukraine and counted the Inflation Reduction Act and its increased funding for the IRS as a win. Okay, so, yeah, here we go. They want to... They take an opportunity. You see what I'm saying? The Republicans have this opportunity. Now that there's a war going on, another one, that's happened, they're going to utilize this thing as a means to help out the wealthy. Okay? I can't imagine a sick way of thinking than that. You know, it's like, well, now that those people are dying over there and Americans are all pissed, and they want to help them so bad, we'll just, we'll hold them hostage. We'll blackmail the Americans. You will help them, but you got to give the rich in this country tax breaks, or ways to not pay their taxes, or make it harder for the IRS to make them accountable for what they owe in taxes. You see what I'm saying? The children that died over there, and the families that are dying over there, and the infrastructure that's being destroyed over there. They're going to hold that hostage, okay, to America, and say, well, we'll only help them if you help the wealthy in this country. Now, what kind of a sick fuck, does something like that? I mean, that's like something you see in a friggin' movie that's about, like Wall Street collapsing or some damn why it happened. I mean, that's the kind of shit you get now from the Republicans in Congress. Okay, all their deals that they try to make, it's all like based on, some corrupted way of thinking, some backward, like they said, backward way of thinking, and really in a nasty way. I mean, I can't imagine a nasty way if people in our own government can come up with deals like that are that nasty. Can you imagine what goes on in the business world in this country when deals are made? Can you think about that for a minute? They know that deals they make in Congress or something like that gets out to the public because we've got press all over the fucking place, right? And they don't seem to care that people know what they're trying to do. So if they're allowed to let those things get out, okay, then imagine the kind of deals that go on in the business world, which is where Donald Trump basically thrived for most of his life. Take that in and just cogitate on that for a bit, because I'll tell you, that really kind of highlights, some major corruption just underneath the surface of our country here that's rotting us from the inside out. So, I'm trying to remember now. Somebody, I can't remember her name. She'd come out and said that for every dollar that's spent to the IRS, we get $6 back in return, which means when we give the IRS money, they have the means to go after people who aren't paying their taxes, and that's the average what we get back from that. That money goes back into the government. $6 returned for $1 spent. Now, if they want to take away, for that dollar, okay, we're going to get less back, or maybe nothing back, because they're going to make it harder for the IRS to get that money back, which means our deficit will go up. Okay, because that money, the tax money we're getting, what the IRS is collecting, goes to paying down our deficit. Okay, which seems to be a losing battle these days, no matter who's the president. But the fact is that, we would just explode the deficit. And I don't know how much deficit this country can handle before it just causes the whole economic system to simply sputter and die, on the wheel. I mean, I don't know, because it's like having a credit card with no limit on it, okay? But you still have to owe. You still got to pay, right? And you got to find a way to pay. And you take from this, you take from that, to put payments on it, but you're never getting ahead because you're just paying and you're still charging. That's kind of way the deficit is. It's like an unlimited amount of money can be spent, okay? And you still are responsible for paying it down because you owe. And why people around the world would trade with us and use our dollar and stuff like that at this point, I don't know. Because if I was living in another country, I'd say I wouldn't invest in American money. Okay, their dollar's worth shit. It ain't even worth the paper it's printed on, because they owe more than they have. Okay, they don't have that much money in the treasury in their country, so how can they owe more than they have? But if you understand how economics works, you can owe more than you have, okay? And even if you can never pay it off, you still owe, and they'll still let you die. Okay, it's the dumbest system I've ever seen carried out, because, for an average clown like me that has a credit card, they have a limit on that fucking thing, right? They got a limit on the card based on your income. They don't let you go over that limit. And if you don't pay it, they'll shut the card down, okay? And they start coming after you for money. Government don't do that. Government won't do that to themselves, when they owe, right? I mean, why would the government, demand from itself pay? There's no person that they have to answer to pay down the debt, okay? Because they say, well, nobody can tell us what we can do with our own money. This is America. We can do what the hell we want with it. Yeah, that's fine and dandy for just the United States, but we're not just involved with just the United States. We got our money scattered all over hell on this planet, and, our money doesn't mean shit, and it's getting worse and worse and worse as time goes on, okay? So, in situations like this where the Americans want to help the people in Israel, okay, and they want to help the people in Ukraine with these wars going on, okay, they're being told, no, we're not going to help them. Because the wealthy are paying too much in taxes anyway. We want them to pay less. So that means the burden to pay for these aids you want to send out are going to be on you and you alone. Okay? All of you people are going to have to give aid. That's certainly a different kind of Republican Party than I remember back in the 80s. Because I remember in the 80s helping another country, what was Africa? Remember Ethiopia and all that stuff? They were hungry, they're starving. And not only were we sending them help, people were forming organizations to send help to these countries. People were doing this stuff, okay? And a lot of these organizations were started by wealthy people, okay? Now, I don't know if there was any skimming going on off the top back then. I don't know. I was too young to even understand, the news at the time of what was going on, okay? I'd have to go back into the archives of the fucking internet and to see what comes up there about any scandals that broke. But the point is, as we were helping other countries and the wealthy were behind it. Today, they don't want to help nobody, okay? They don't care about Ukraine. They don't care about Israel, okay? They don't want to help them at all, period, okay? To them, their money is their own and nobody can touch it. Nobody can force them to use it for a good deed. Although many of them could use a good deed in their life before they meet their maker, right? They don't want to do any of that shit, okay? They want their money. They want all the money, and what are they going to do with it when they get it all, right? What's the big fucking final goal when they have all the money and everybody's got nothing? What are they going to do then with it? Swim in it? Bathe in it? I don't know what the hell they're going to do. Okay, Elon Musk takes his money and he buys out Twitter, loses half in years' time he loses half the value of Twitter. Okay, so the company's worth half of what it was when he bought it. Okay, he don't care. He's got more friggin' billions of dollars still left over to go screw over something else. He doesn't care. That's what happens when you got all the money in the world and you're able to do anything you can imagine. Okay, because there's no risk. There's no risk to losing your livelihood or losing your house or your car or your boat or your whatever you got. There's no risk. And when you have no risk, then you've got no responsibility. Everything in the world is just a big fucking joke. It's a toy. It's something to play in. It's your own playground. And what happens to the people around you as you play does not matter. It doesn't factor into your ethics. Okay? Because you grew up with all that cash, all right, or however you got it. Okay, and you feel it's, the world owes you a living, and if the world won't give it to you, then you'll just take all the wealth and make it for yourself, that's why, a lot of people that I see that they show on TV, the lifestyles of the rich and famous, it's very disgusting, okay? I mean, yeah, they live in beautiful homes and stuff like that, but you're looking at it the wrong way, because the people themselves living in those homes, they're very, very demented, okay? Their values are shot to hell, okay? They don't know anything, beyond the confines of the world. To them, it's just a playground for them. And that's how they view us, as just playthings, little pieces on a chessboard, like, we're not interested. So, them here, sitting here defending the wealthy, by suggesting we should cut funding to the IRS, which is one of the, institutions, the main institution to make sure that the government gets its fair share of people's income. Okay, Now, I know that sounds unfair, but consider, how much of a percentage they take. They're still leaving you with money. They're not taking a lot. When you look at your paycheck that you get, it should be itemized in there what the money, the tax dollars are being taken out, okay? And it's nothing. Are you going to do something with that extra couple bucks there or something? What is it? Everything is overpriced as it is, and you're not getting enough money as it is anyway. Those extra couple of bucks aren't going to mean a goddamn thing in a week's time, okay? It just isn't. So, instead of bitching at the government for taking out that extra $2 in your paycheck, why don't you bitch to your boss and tell him you need more money to work there? If you want people to work there, pay us more, okay? And tell them why, all right? And if they don't understand or they don't want to pay more, then look, go find another place to work that will pay, okay? The idea that you are tied to your job, is in your own mind, okay? Nobody owns you, okay? They hire you because they need you. They don't own you. They need you there to work. And if you say, I don't feel like I'm valued here anymore, I'm gone, okay? Then they failed in that bargain to pay you what you're worth, okay? They failed. And the fact that when they cut your wages and they give that difference to the executives as a bonus, I mean, what the hell gives them the right to take your money just so they can live fatter on the hill if they, you know what I'm saying? I mean, come on. I mean, it's the biggest rift, that could be, I mean, even the casino treats you better than that, okay? At least where you're heading when you're starting to lose and you got the choice to get off the boat, right? No, not with everyday life when you're dealing with your own job. They're not going to tell you that. They're not going to tell you, well, we're cutting your check or we're cutting your bonus or whatever for whatever reason, when they're really not telling you what the reason is, and you just go home and take it. Okay, you have to be more curious. You got to ask questions. Why are you taking the bonus? Why are you not paying me as much? What's happening to the company? Okay, and should I be worried? I go back to what happened with Toys R Us right here in my own hometown here, Bangor. Okay, Toys R Us was there. 1 week before that fucking store closed, I asked one of the people at the register, "Are you worried that the store's going to close?" And they all said, "No, we're not going to. The store's not closed, and we're still going to be open." 1 week before they shut that place down. 1 week. They didn't tell these people nothing to prepare for losing their jobs. That, my friends, is what I'm talking about when I say, unfair practices on us, okay? And why, the rich don't give a shit. They sat on that fucking nugget that whole time, and then decided at the last second, yeah, shut it down. But don't tell the employees. We want them working right up to the end. They didn't even give them a chance to go out and find other work. They were just cut right out, and they were without pay for however long. Okay, and I say that was the worst thing they could have done to those workers. Okay, I knew some of those people that worked there. I went to high school with them. Okay, and they were so dead fast certain that store was going to be open, that it hit them like a brick. And I remember my girlfriend calling me saying that one of her friends had lost their job at a Toys R Us, and the employees were some pissed, okay, because they weren't told for days, that that place was going to close down. They saw the news on TV about stores shutting down, but they didn't think they were going to be one of them stores, and neither did they over here in Bangor, okay. And so when that store shut down, there was no warning given. And aren't they supposed to give you a warning, for Christ's sake, if they're going to, if you're going to lose your job or something? Why did they not tell them? What was the point of not telling these people that? I mean, they could have gave them a damn courtesy, but no, they're too busy, saving their own ass. The corporate heads there at the time were too busy saving their own ass to give a shit about the workers underneath that they were dumping out over the Titanic there in a bucket. They didn't care. They didn't care. And so when we say that we want the rich to pay their share in this country, by Jesus, they deserve to pay their fucking share because of the way they've been treating us employees in this country for decades now. Okay, they've been having it their way like Burger King for too long, and we have to stand up and say, no, you can't have it your way this time. Okay, we've come to the limit. This is the end of the road. We gave you enough handouts. We gave you enough breaks. The IRS has looked away too damn many times. It's time now to fess up, because we're at a crunch time and this country needs its money. Okay, and the rest of the world is looking to us to help them. Okay, and it's going to look pretty goddamn embarrassing when we say no. What do you think's going to happen then? Okay. So anyway, I just, like I said, that really kind of rattled me there wrong about that whole mess here with that. So I don't know. You know, Republicans, I'll tell you, they deal from the bottom of the deck. If you're ever in a card game with a Republican, get away from it, because they've got aces hidden in their shoes and their pants and their head and everywhere else. You know, they're going to play to cheat, because that's all they can do. They don't have skills to win a game. They cheat to win. They don't have ideas to sell to the people, you know, to win campaigns. So they cheat to win their seats. Okay, and then when they get their seats, they use their wealth, their vast wealth, to buy people off. Okay, and get their way. You see, that's where they do anti-democratic things, because in a democracy, the majority is supposed to rule, not the minority. But see, money reversed that whole thing, turned it on its head. Money. And as soon, the sooner we get money out of politics, the better it's going to be for America. But I'll tell you right now, if that ever happens, they're going to have an accountability system in this country like you would not believe, because they will find fucking ways to get money under the table than ever before. Believe me, because they were before. And, you know, and now that it won't be so open, if they ever overturn, you know, Citizens United, if the Democrats ever manage to do that, then, you know, hey, the accountability for where the money's going is going to have to be examined very closely, because the Republicans will cheat to get around it, just like they're redistricting areas of our country so that way more votes land in the Republican side instead of Democrat side. They can't win elections without cheating now. Their ideas are unpopular. The majority of the country does not agree with them on everything, okay? And the fact that their own party is fragmenting, you know, with moderates exiting the GOP, and the extremists being the only ones left, and they can't even work together because they're too busy pulling each other's hair and fighting and spitting and kicking, and, you know, they can't work together because neither side has the ability to work together. You know, it's all about me, 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 me. They're all of them. They all got this arrogant, you know, view of themselves that they are the ones with the answer. Well, when that Republican is saying that and this Republican is saying that, then the three of them are, you know, they're gonna conflict, right? One of them is gonna have to come out on top. One has to be the alpha. They can't all be alphas, right? You know what I'm saying? That's why they can't govern. That's why they can't agree on anything. Okay, it's almost like the same thing with Democrats in a way, when they say, you know, it's like herding cats. Well, now it's going to be like herding cats with the MAGA group, because they're all in the opinion that they're right, each one is right, and the others are wrong. Okay, and that's what's going to, you know, that's what's hurting the party right now. Why so many other Republicans is like saying, I can't work with these people. They're like 2-year-olds. Okay, they turned Congress into a playground. I'm out of here. Okay, that's what's going on. You know. Okay, so that's it for today. Man, I hope everybody has a great upcoming weekend here. So please subscribe and comment. Keep your ears open to local COVID-19 updates and news. And please, when you're out there, treat each other nice. There's a lot of viciousness, anti-Semitism going around right now because of what's happening on the other side of the planet here. And these things, although we hate it when it happens, it's expected, because not like when we was fighting in the Middle East, you know, when all the people that were Muslim were being picked on and harassed. Okay, now this is going to happen again with the Jewish people in our country, who have done nothing wrong, but because they're Jewish, it gives assholes in our country a target, because they want to feel like they're being patriotic. Well, they don't even understand what patriotism is if that's what they think that's what it is. So just watch yourself out there and try to be even tempered. Okay, just if you see trouble or you think there's going to be trouble, it's best to just avoid it altogether. Unfortunately, that's the way it has to be in our country. So take care, everybody, and I'll talk to you again later.